Well, hello there, you Taurians. We are nearing the end of May 2025, and Saturn is about to enter Aries, which will be for 2.5 years. So what does this mean for you Taurians? Well, it's about consolidation, closure, tying up loose ends, and achieving satisfaction. So Saturn going into Aries, which means it's going to be in like your solar 12th house, is encouraging you to look forward, to think of grabbing new opportunities. But while you seek new directions, you should spend some time tying up loose ends, finishing up anything that needs to be completed, and focusing on the end of this long 28-year cycle you've been through. So this is a time to be closing down, putting a lid on certain activities, or seeking closure on matters that have been affecting you for the last 7 or 14 years. You also have to carefully manage your psychological and emotional energy, because sometimes this isn't as abundant as you think. And you can have these sudden periods where you feel very flat, low, and where you really need to just retreat, rest, and recharge your batteries. So boundaries with other people are vital. You have to know when to tell others to back off, just give you a little bit of space. Because there could also be things in your life you suddenly lose interest in and you really don't want to finish. And you have to find a way of kind of extracting yourself from those responsibilities without kind of feeling you're letting anyone down. So there's definitely a need within you to move away and cut ties with certain activities or people because they suddenly just feel less fulfilling or relevant to your life, or maybe they're not just working out as well as they used to. So it's also important with this transit to handle people and situations from your past in a diplomatic way. So don't burn bridges or leave things on bad terms, even if relationships have soured. Because with Saturn, things will naturally peter out or taper now. But in some cases, you will feel you have to kind of throw away everything in order to make way for changes now that you want to make. But that's not with people. You don't throw them away. But other things, it may be necessary to do so. You might also feel that current circumstances are limiting, but are they as limiting as you believe them to be? Because sometimes your perspective right now is inclining you to see things as limitations when it's your secret enemy's mindsets and some attitudes you need to shake off, which are actually what's limiting you. So this is definitely a time for a bit of a life audit. Assess your expectations that you had over the last several years. Understand what wasn't achieved or why it wasn't achieved, and what was achieved and why. Then generate better ideas, but always understand the barriers that held you back from getting over the line during the last 7 years, and what you really need to do to move beyond these barriers and these failures. Now, the barriers can be within you. There could be fears, anxieties. There could be structures within society like bureaucracy, rules, even government. But you need to think of ingenious ways to get around them. Because the key now really is your perception, but also understanding how to make these changes, right? Don't default to negativity or feeling trapped, because you can really blow this thing wide open right now with the right attitude. Now, this is definitely a time when you want to get away from authoritarian structures. So you don't want to be in the grip of any work process or structure or relationship or social paradigm that's going to contain you or your plans. This should be an optimistic phase, but also a realistic phase. But you also don't want to be blinkered. Don't cast things out of your mind because you can't bear to think about them. Because right now, you can repress some things which you really should be looking at and working through systematically. It's also important to get rid of any guilt or unpleasant lingering feelings over past problems or the leftovers of past problems, because you really need to clear the deck now to make sure you're ready for these brand new opportunities. And sometimes you're a little bit impatient to do all the important housekeeping and achieving closure or putting a lid on past events. So don't underestimate this clearing up phase. You don't want to leave debris, so think about getting all your house in order. Now, it's not always possible with other people to achieve the closure or get all the answers you want if relationships broke down, but it is necessary perhaps to simplify and cleanse those problematic issues. You're not just suppressing them, you have worked through them as best you can, and you're able to put them aside enough so to move on. Remember what I talked about with other people. You do use diplomacy and you don't necessarily burn bridges, but you do move away from negative, toxic situations. But when it comes to other things, sometimes you do have to take a more ruthless approach, the non-people side of life. There you often have to stop activities, stop habits, stop routines that you feel are now becoming constraining. And that's why during this phase, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to stop seeing all the barriers from the outside, because have you allowed those barriers to be there? Were they once things that made you secure, gave you a sense of purpose or of structure, but have you outgrown them now? Are they now containing you? So it's all a matter of reassessing the personalities and the structures in your life and knowing which ones you need to move away from in order to embrace the big changes that you'll be able to make when Saturn moves into Taurus. But nothing you do right now should be knee-jerk. It's all part of a system, and it ought to be done in a strategic and mindful way. So Saturn entering Aries is a great time for cleansing, rebooting, recalibrating your life, and understanding the way you self-sabotage, what creates failure in your life, and working hard to negate those influences while knowing how to capitalize on the strengths and the successes of the last 7 or 14 years to take those forward to create even greater success starting in about 2 years from now.